Hello and welcome back to the Essex Allotment Farm. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Alex. This is the Essex Allotment Farm, and for its most part we're a Four Seasons market garden that sells organic vegetables to end consumer via veg box service and farmers markets. I nearly forgot that last bit of the intro. Anyway, we're doing something a little bit different today. I am just about to set off to Equigrow headquarters, which are a relatively new composting company. They've invited me and a few others around or along to have a look around their facility and learn a little bit about composting. So I'm going to jump in the car and I'll see you there. At this point, I should say that this video is not sponsored. Yes, I'm using Equigrow products. You'll have seen me talk about them before, but I paid for those products. We're using them at the Tin Roof Cafe site on one of our consultancy sites. And everything has been brilliant so far. We like the product so far, but it's early in the season, so we'll continue to keep you updated as the season goes on. They just have invited me and some others along to have a look at their composting facility. So this video will be a little bit different. I randomly clip my microphone to various different people showing us around. So you'll learn some key points around composting, about how they do things here. It's a relatively new composting company, but effectively they take in green waste from local councils and green waste from contractors, and through various different stages they turn that into sellable compost, organic, and direct to end consumer. They're big on sustainability. They don't use coir, they don't use additional products, chemicals and things like that. But yeah, I found it really interesting, and I hope that what I've managed to put together here is first watchable and secondly interesting for you guys too. So let's crack on.
Parts come in a curbside collection from, we've just got new contracts with Welling, Hatfield and St Albans, and then we have commercial waste that comes in from the civic amenity sites. Starts in this morning, but this material's been here maybe 3 or 4 days. It was clear on Friday, so this is only what's coming in this week. But I say we'll because the weather's been nice, we'll start to get busy now. And with Easter coming up as well, generally we find Easter's like a switch. Everybody gets out in the gardens for the first time, and so I always take the week after Easter off. The bucket. Yeah. So this is a smaller machine of the two. That's got about a 3 cubic metre bucket. The other one is 3.5. It's a bigger machine. And we can put through, depending on the material, about 60 tonnes an hour we can process through the shredder. The really woody material that won't make compost, no matter how much you shred it, it takes 2 or 3 goes round to shred down. We try and pull it out at the start, and then we'll shred that through smaller baskets and then put it into the system. Otherwise all we're doing is filling up space with big material that isn't going to make compost. So basically that's what that is. So that'll be processed separately and then go back through the system. And this is, I mean, even now, because of the time of year, we're coming into summer and spring, obviously we're getting more green grass material coming in. So there's still quite a lot of woody material in that, but you can't take it all out because you need the wood creates air pockets and gaps in the rows to allow the oxygen in. If you have it, so if you just did all grass and nothing else, you find it goes anaerobic, and that's when you start to get a smell. Sorry. So basically, if you want to, I can turn this around so you can see. The first reading takes quite a while the probe's warming up. So it takes 4 readings. You get oxygen content, carbon dioxide content, the temperature, and then when it's finished taking the reading, it gives you the moisture content percentage as well. So it takes a couple of minutes to take the first reading, and then after that we have to do 5 readings out of each row every day. until it's sanitised. So it's about it takes 15 readings to sanitise it, 15 days worth of readings to sanitise it, and then we just have to do them once weekly, just while they're going through the stabilisation process, which is 4 to 5 weeks. So it's it's dead easy. This system, I don't get involved with the other end of it. This got a SIM card in it, and it just basically uploads it to the program on the laptop that Emma looks after, and she tells me what I have to do, basically.
So how old is this one, Bruce?
This row, I've got it written down on the board. This will be, well, I'm still having to do it every day, so it's probably coming up to 3 weeks old. Because obviously, as you can tell, we haven't got a lot of material on site at the moment. Normally we'd have rows the whole way down, so we'd have 8 to 9 rows on site, and then as we screen one to make the product, once that row's gone, we have to move every row up one, which turns it, which gets more oxygen back in the system. If it's warm, it cools it down, just gets the process going again. And then obviously that gives us a row at the bottom, another space to shred fresh material into. And it's just like obviously a circle just going round and round all the time.
How long does it take to get from that to that?
Well, the longer the better, but a minimum of 11 to 12 weeks. Yeah, it depends on the time of year. You can put it through stabilisation and sanitisation in about 7 to 8 weeks. And if we're really flat out busy, we kind of are running right on the edge of where we can be. But obviously, we try and leave it as long as possible, because the longer you leave it, the better product you get out the end, and the more material you get out as well.
What's the minimum temperature you have to heat these up?
It has to make 55 degrees. So it has to do that for 15 days, consecutive readings. And so you have to take 5 readings out of each one, and if one of those readings doesn't make 55 degrees, basically we have to do another day, until we've had 15 days of all 5 readings over 55 degrees.
So if you got to like day 13 or day 14?
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
And you get one shot at it, so once you put the probe in, you decide that's where it's going?
Yeah, because soon, basically, because it logs it and records it as it goes.
Right.
So we can't say, oh no, that one hasn't made it, we'll just delete that one and see if we can find a warmer spot. Once it's in, it records it, and once we've done, I think it's about 15 or 20 readings, so 5 from each, it'll say readings. It takes a couple of minutes, it uploads the last 15, 20 readings, and then you can carry on doing the rest. So when we've got 8 rows down, like on a Monday, we do every single row on a Monday, so it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then after that, so like I say, this road's gone through sanitisation, so that only has to be done once a week. These 2 rows are still going through sanitisation, so they're being done every day. And the next row over we're still in the progress of making it. So once that's finished, I'll get in touch with Emma and say, can you create a batch number for batch 1, and she'll just send me a message, say, oh, it's all set up. And then these are just, so the tags are they're very simple. We just have these, so we have 12 of these, and they basically go on rotation. So once we get to 12, we go back to number 1, because we only have 8 or 9 rows on site anyway, so we only need that many. And they're just RFID tags. So when I don't know. It sounds good. It's the same as you get in shops. So you basically it's got a program in it, and it knows. So when you start this up, it will say go to batch 10, and if you don't want to do batch 10, go to batch 11, which this is. And you'll press OK, and it will say scan tag, and you literally just hold that in front of the thing. It scans it. It says take first reading, and then when you've done your 5 readings from that, you just go complete, press the complete, go to batch 12, scan number 12, and just take your next 5 readings again. And it's dead simple.
So Emma,
Normally we don't have a problem. Normally the problem is not letting it get too hot, because we can get temperatures of over 80 degrees, which is too high. You risk, well, it's unlikely to catch fire because there's too much moisture material in it. But moving it generally cools it down. The only thing we can do really is we can put some water. If it's very dry, sometimes we struggle with temperatures, and in the autumn when there's a lot of leaves, we struggle with temperatures as well. Not normally, we don't struggle to get to 55, but they don't surge like they would in the summer when you get a lot of grassy material. It's nice and warm. But we can add a bit of water to it, and normally that might just kickstart things up a bit. If you add too much, it cools it down, and as it sort of dries out and the moisture gets into it, it starts to heat back up again. So again, it's not rocket science, but you just need to. It's just trial and error, and once you kind of know, it's not difficult. You know roughly how much you can get away with putting on and what it needs. So apart from that, but also when you move them up, you get a bit of oxygen back into it. It kind of kickstarts the process again. So. Well, again, it all depends on material. So during the summer when it's grassy and very dense, I mean, these are quite short, these rows, because in the summer when we're busy, we'll make them big as possible so we can get more material on site. We could have up to 350 tonnes in a row. These are probably, because it's quite a light material as well, these are probably a couple of 100 tonnes. So
if you had a full run, say 350 tonnes, how much end product would that make roughly?
I generally think bulk wise, I would say it's a fairly even split between the three materials that come out. So your final material that you guys would be interested in, your 10mm product, then the agricultural sort of 30mm product, and then all this stuff like the woody material that we have to re-shred and put back through. Bulk wise, I'd say it's a fairly even split. Weight wise, I think obviously the weight is in the 10mm material. So.
But when you say bulk, so if you get a full row, you're saying you'll get a third of fitting, like the 10mm,
yeah,
third
yeah,
of the
30mm, yeah, and a third of the overside, yeah. So if I can't, as soon as this is finished the reading, it beeps, and then the readings go. So if anybody wants to see what it says on there, I'll come around this side so you can have a look if you want to. But normally we would take 5 readings sort of down randomly every sort of 10 yards down the row, but just for ease, it's. See, that's at 68 degrees. So. Morning, if we do temperatures first thing on a Wednesday morning, it'll be at temperature. Yeah, and if it's quite grassy material, it's, let's say, it's not unusual for it to get into the 80 degrees. And if you pull it down and put your hand in it, or if you try and grab the end of the probe, or you by accident you hold it, it burns. You know, it really does get very hot. Finished 10mm product. I mean, obviously you can see it's a bit. Well, you always get a bit coming down, rolling down. But when you can feel that's still.
Oh yeah.
Still hot. Still doing stuff.
So this is the finished 10mm.
Yeah.
Screen stuff.
Yeah.
And just talk us through the process of how you get it from the end row to here then.
Well, if we move down that end, I can show you the machinery and show you how it works.
Amazing, thank you.
And like I say, as I can't remember who I was saying to earlier, our biggest problem here is wind. You know, so any bits that you see around the edge, it's just because the wind's blowing stuff in. It's not really because it's inherently in the product. It's just. No, we don't. Once it's here, we don't monitor it. Say once it's finished, once we've screened it and processed it. I mean, we could take temperatures, but you know, we don't need to. It's we have to do. Emma will take samples every. I don't know how often it is, but for pass. To send it away to be tested and everything. So
that's just for the certification stuff.
Yeah.
So from a legislation point of view, at the moment it's a waste. Once it's screened, it'll choose the pass status. It's come out of the waste hierarchy.
Yeah.
And that is now a product.
Right. Amazing. That's interesting. So these machines.
Yeah. So these two machines here are called trommels. You maybe have like a small handheld one or something at home if you do home composting. Basically, you put this material in at the end at the hopper. There's a feed belt inside, which drops it into the drum. The drum rotates, and it's got like a welded corkscrew in it. So as it rotates, the material comes up the side of the drum and drops. And it might be easier to stand right over there and show you. So and then underneath the drum, there's another belt. So anything that's small enough to drop through the drum will be 10mm material, will come out this side belt, and anything that's not small enough to come out as 10mm goes up the end to separate it into two different products. So this is a 10mm drum, and then we have a 30mm drum in the other machine, which we then, basically it's a big sieve, and then we'll put the material through that as well to get our agricultural product. And that separates the 30mm down from the oversized, the woody material. That goes back round. It's and these are different drums.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we can. I can show you. Actually, I can open the door on this one, so you can see in the side door of this one.
Who's getting in? Go on, George.
If you come down here, because.
Ooh, fancy. Oh, wow. It's like funhouse on the other side.
Yeah.
We want to keep our heads.
Yeah, so on the end of the drum, there's like a welded chain on the end of the drum, and all it's just driven by a big gear sprocket, which makes the drum rotate. So anything that's small enough drops onto the belly belt, we call it, which brings it to the end and puts out the side discharge belt. Anything that's too big to drop through goes out the end. It's dead. It's a simple system. Works very well. Small. Let's do the small first. Small first, and what we try and do is do it all in one pass. So we'll feed the other machine.
Yeah.
So the big material that comes out of that will drop into this one.
Okay.
And then the big material that comes out of this goes into the wind separator, which is the green machine just there. And then basically, hopefully, you have a nice clean 10mm product, nice clean 30mm product. And once it's been through the wind separator, your oversized materials, plastic free, and everyone's happy. Again, I mean, it's probably, the concept of it is really simple, but it's quite a complicated machine. So basically the oversized drops onto this pad here, which vibrates. So as the material drops on it, it just shakes over the edge nice and slowly, and it drops down. And then there's a big fan in the back here which blows air. That's why all this is mesh, so the air can escape. It blows the plastic up, and as it gets to the end of the tunnel, the plastic settles on top of the heavier material. And then you have another fan on the top, which spins at, I don't know what it spins at, but very, very fast. And it creates a vacuum, and it sucks the plastic off the top, blows it down the pipe into the rolling off bin. And then the oversized material drops off the end onto this, which is, because it's got no cleats on it, so the stones roll back, so we can separate the stones from the wood, and you get a nice clean wood material the other side. And we've got a mag belt on here as well, so when these are pushed right under, any metal material that's in it, any foreign objects will fall in here. Stones in the bucket, nice wood material on the other end. We're doing 4,500 litres of diesel a week. You know, if you wanted to replace these loading shovels, the big shovels, £250,000 to replace that shovel.
£250 for that?
No, that. The bucket, the case.
Oh, that's the bucket.
Yeah.
Right. I get confused with the terminology. How
Um,
much is one of these?
I bet you'd probably pay a couple of £1,000 for one of those, wouldn't you? If not more.
What about manpower? How many people, when this is at full, how many people does it take?
Just 3 of us. It's 3 of us, yeah.
But then Emma's here quite often, isn't she, as well? Pay her.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're paying her even when she's not here.
And Adrian,
I mean, physically operating the site when we're busy, it needs 3 people on site. I mean, if all the material that came in was spotlessly clean and didn't need cleaning, you could probably get away with 2. But because we always have to clean, and also maintenance. So if they're working, I generally am doing maintenance, cleaning off. You know, just even if it's only daily stuff and not like the real nitty gritty of breakdowns, but just greasing up, blowing. We have a big road compressor we use. We don't wash stuff down with water because as soon as stuff gets wet, it just sticks to it, gets stuck in bearings. So we blow everything down with a lance with an airline. So just blowing kit off.
The bag squeezer. Anyway, going on to what we do out here, it's very rustic.
for now.
Yeah, at the moment. So we have a big heap there of shavings manure, which has been collected for the last 3 weeks, and it's put into a big pile like that. We just keep pushing it up with the Manitou, and we go through stages. We put it through the Shelbourne Reynolds there, which is basically a muck spreader, which fires it out the side, which I'm going to show you how it happens in a minute. And then it goes from there. This heap here, where I've just taken from to load the Shelbourne, that there is pretty much ready to go, but we just want to put it through the Shelbourne once more to fluff it up and make it into just a nicer texture. So I'm going to jump on that and show you how it fires it out, and then you can have a look at it. I'll pull forward, you can have a look and see. That basically transforms that. That's how it comes in. 10 weeks later, that's the finished product, and that's ready now for bagging. It's been through we've turned it, it's been through about 3 times through that machine. That was the last stage, and then this is the final stage. So you can see the difference. Right, yeah, we do a straw. It's that same thing with a straw based. Comes in, it's tipped over here. Then it's put through that Shelbourne Reynolds and heaped up here. And then in about a week's time, we'll put that through again, and then again until it's fit and ready to go. Because they're separate products. So there's a straw-based manure, which is the soil conditioner that we sell in the yellow bags. This is the red, which is we call it red, it's fertile mulch, which is a wood shavings based. And then we have the green, and we do a mixture of this one with the straw one for farmyard manure. But basically they're the same. But obviously with the straw manure, it's a lot more fibrous, and it's difficult to keep constant, the straw manure. You can have it dead right after about 12 weeks, perfect, and after 2 weeks it carries on. 2 weeks after that it carries on rotting down, and then you get stodge. And some people love stodge, some people like it a bit more texture. So it's always difficult with straw muck. We don't keep too much of it here. But the demand for us is this one. It does all the local stables around here, takes away their bedding, the waste from the stables, which is actually, most of it is shavings based manure. But we also know that D. Williams and Co, Adrian's farming, they sell the hay to the yards, so we know that there's no weed killers or no nasties being fed. So we're very, very lucky in that respect, because we know exactly where it's come from. It's traceable. So yeah. But
So this is the area where you'll just do your final mixes, and from here
here is where we're putting it through. The Shelbourne, that does all the work.
Yeah.
That really does do a lot of work, and that is what helps to speed the process up even though we don't want to speed it up too much because we want our products to go out at the right stage. We don't want them raw when they go out, because obviously you get ammonia from the horse manure, which if you haven't got it composted properly can be a problem. A lot of people
we'll be moving to a new purpose-built site just on the other side of where that trailer is. We've been waiting for planning permission for over 2 years now. Finally got it through last week. Much frustration, but I won't go into that one. But similar design to the site we just came off. Not as big, about 50 by 50, with liquid retention. So obviously when the horse manure comes in or it rains, we've got to encapsulate that liquid. We can't just let it run onto the land or get into the water course. So we've got liquid containment. We use the liquid either back on the product when it's dry, or we take it to the AD plant and we get the methane out of it and run it through the biological process there. So we'll find a use for anything that's on the site.
Nothing goes to waste.
Can you use that to create a liquid fertiliser?
We are thinking of maybe doing a Equigrow type of product. Yeah.
We talked about that. There's demand's a bit squiffy though.
Yeah.
It's not that high.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think we'd rather just get this right.
Yeah.
Keep the site compliant. We get a use out of it by putting it through AD for energy anyway. So
that's a major thing for us, is to be compliant. Most of the runoff actually comes from the rain. So if you're on concrete, obviously you've got a bigger area of concrete, you're going to catch more rain. And when the manure mixes with the rainwater, it's like if a drop of blood you put it into a hand basin, it looks horrendous, doesn't it? And it's exactly the same with the runoff from the manure. So anyway, we want to be compliant. We're going to catch it in a big lagoon, and then we can contain it, and everybody's happy.
Excellent.
That's how we want it.